And we're back with another NBA Observations. Gerald Glassford, truly appreciate you joining us. Make sure you go ahead and hit that like. Make sure you go ahead and hit that subscribe. Helps out the channel. Yes, absolutely. Great indeed. It is, of course, my good friend, Legend, I Got Next Sports Media. He is here. Great to have you here, my friend. We're into the conference finals. A lot of things going on. How you doing, my friend?
Man, I am doing good, man. I'm over here like I'm starting to finally show some process of getting better.
Ah, sweet. And as we're taping this as the Eastern Conference Finals is continuing. Right now, Cleveland has the lead at the half. New York dominated much of the half, but Cleveland went on a big run at the end of the half to go ahead and sneak the lead. We'll see if that sustains itself going forward. We'll go back to the East a little bit, but I want to go ahead and first talk about the amazing performance from Victor Wembanyama and the San Antonio Spurs, who went into OKC. Double overtime game, controlled a good part of the game as far as the lead is concerned. Gave it up late, tied the score, went into overtime. They actually fell down by 3. Victor Wembanyama hit a miraculous 28-foot logo shot to go ahead and tie the game. Then in the second overtime, he just decided, you know what? I think I'm going to end this now. And he dominated that second overtime. They had no answers for him at Oklahoma City. Your thoughts, my friend? They also got support from a great performance from Dylan Harper, first rookie since Magic Johnson to get type of numbers that he did, the 7 steals as well. It was a little rough without De'Aaron Fox handling wise. Stephon Castle still 17 points for him, 11 assists, but the 11 turnovers a little bit shaky there. They were able to win despite Alex Caruso hitting 8 threes and 31 points. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, after picking up his hardware, second MVP in a row, kind of struggled. J-Dub coming back into the lineup. He did all right. But with that, though, OKC finds themselves down 1-0, and I find it enjoyable because the fact is, they spent all the last round against the Lakers smiling and joking and jovial and laughing and whatnot. And I looked at the bench as it closed out the last few seconds of that second overtime, and I did not find a smile to be found. I found a little bit of concern in their eyes. I found a little bit of concern in what they were telling each other. Your thoughts, my friend, on that San Antonio OKC format? I had said that a lot of people were relying. I know they talked to Caleb Ponce when talking about OKC about the inexperience of San Antonio. I kept hearing about the inexperience of San Antonio, and they did show some of that on Monday. No, I mean, 11 turnovers by Stephon Castle, thrust into the point guard role. Absolutely, they did show some nerves. 2 of 13 from 3 from both him and Dylan Harper. Yes, I get that. I understand it. But I said from the get-go, do not underestimate San Antonio because Victor Wembanyama, he should have nerves. He should have that inexperience. But the guy is A, too tall, B, too talented, and C, too, and for lack of a better term, egotistical or arrogant about his game. Confident in his game, I would probably say that. To let that happen. He'll make some mistakes. There's no question about it. But again, the sheer talent this man has for a guy that size should not be underestimated. And that's why I leaned into San Antonio and why we saw a coming out party for the nation and for the world to go ahead and see Victor Wembanyama in such a great performance on Monday night.
Gerald, what I saw in that game was the same Oklahoma City team that I saw in the regular season struggle with them. They have played at this point, I want to say 6 games against each other,
Hmm.
and you only won one time.
Hmm.
That is a concern. To me, it comes back to what I thought about even with the Lakers series against them, against Oklahoma. It's hard to ignore when you lose to a team so many times. Like that's telling us something. And now you see the same thing with Oklahoma. You lost to this Spurs team a lot of times. That's a telling of something. And what we're noticing right now in this series is just starting off. I know it's just one game, but what we noticing compared with the rest of them too is that you can't take advantage of all them turnovers like you did against a team that can't run and gun with you, not as athletic as you. We're going against a team who is just as fast as you, just as athletic as you, and just as young as you. You're on equal playing field. But the biggest part that really makes a difference, you got a 7 foot, 4 or 5 man standing in that paint. You ain't gonna go down to that paint. I don't know if you noticed it, Gerald. I saw a lot of dudes was hesitant to even attempt to go to that paint just because they know get that out of there. That's what exactly what's gonna happen. They're afraid. I noticed Chet. You will know what to be saying. He disappeared pretty much. Took him out the game.
And that's the thing because Victor Wembanyama versus Chet Holmgren goes way back
Get
to their
way
high
back.
school days, as far as is concerned. And there's a little bit of edge and animosity there between those two. You can tell. But the thing that still bewildered me is, yes, I understand that there's a rivalry between those two and there's animosity between those two, but Holmgren still manages to avoid to not guard Wembanyama quite often throughout the game, which
Yes.
again is a problem if you've got a 7'1" player just simply trying to help out on Wembanyama, but is always more often than not getting over there late. Now he did get over there with the end of regulation with a block, and more power to him for that. But time and time again in overtime and in double overtime, especially double overtime, when Caruso and J. Will were trying to go ahead and guard Wembanyama underneath, Wembanyama would simply just be too tall for them to do anything about it. And to me, it seems like okay, you're benching as far as some of the players that you could be more effective against uh, Wembanyama on, and then in the case of Chet Holmgren, you're just you're not even trying to go ahead and
You
guard
running.
him man up,
You
and
running away.
that's a problem. That's a problem.
It didn't look like he's running away at this point. It looked like you're afraid to take on this man. You are the only man on this team that has a legitimate shot to guard this man. You are the
Hartenstein could put
absolute
a
best.
body on him, but they took him out of the game.
I didn't understand that part either. And another thing I noticed too is Gerald. I know you know this guy very well because he was cooking Austin Reeves, AJ Mitchell. Hey, I don't know what he went. He went away. He disappeared in this series already. Starting off, you even know what to be seen. It's a lot different when you're going against guys who can keep up with you and everything versus Austin Reeves who just can't guard that well. But now you're going against dudes who can guard you. It's a whole different ball game now. We right now, a lot of them dudes wasn't smiling because they realized we got a real fight on our hand right now. And the fact that they just took game one on your court, you already lost home court, so that's gone right now. The next
It's
game is a
rough.
must win.
Yeah, next game is definitely a must win for OKC. But even though it was rough and it wasn't always pretty to watch with that backcourt, I have said repeatedly that that backcourt is the future for San Antonio. And I'm not
It
sure
is.
where De'Aaron Fox fits in. And they could increase their front line if they do move on him. Because again, the physicality and the size that those two bring at 6'5", 6'6", against guards. You talked about AJ Mitchell. AJ Mitchell, again, he was drafted in the second round for a reason. And the reason
Mm-hmm.
why is because he's a little bit smaller against a lot of guards. And we saw that take precedent and take evidence by the fact that they were, really guarding him tight in that Monday game with either a 6'5" or a 6'6" player in Stephon Castle or Dylan Harper. And that's why I really like that backcourt starting together. I understand that De'Aaron Fox is still going to get his starts. He's still going to get his time, and he's going to get somewhere in there. But I still think the evolution of that team in San Antonio is what we saw last night, and getting even better with moving on at some point for De'Aaron Fox. De'Aaron Fox will have his numbers, especially down the
Yeah,
stretch during the games. He'll do the things now as an experienced player that Dylan Harper or Stephon Castle will be able to do at some point down the line. There's a maturation, there's a growth process for them. But I saw last night what I had envisioned without De'Aaron Fox at some point down the line is where there's going to be a time where that's your starting backcourt for a long time to come in San Antonio.
they got their future. To me, just like I kind of say with Oklahoma, you have your future. You got everything in set. You just got to make sure to keep building a solid roster around your young set of stars that are up and coming. And then I also want to comment on this too. A lot of people kept saying that they're too young, they're inexperienced. I was right again. They said that last year about Oklahoma. Inexperience. I think it's starting to get to that point. The word inexperience kind of need to be thrown into the trash can. Because somebody like Victor Wembanyama, he's ready. He's ready. And man, did that man take it to heart about that MVP last night. He took it to heart. He went out there and said, "Let me show the world what I can do." And he looked like he was the best player in the world last night. 41 points, 25 rebounds, 24 rebounds, one of those two, and just dominated. I think 3 blocks. He did his thing. But also, Gerald, I gotta also say this too. I think a lot of people I give JJ Redick some credit on this part. He gave a blueprint for SGA. He gave a blueprint because San Antonio was doing the exact same thing. Doing the exact same thing. Double team SGA, get a little physical with him, take him out the game. I think, he gave the little blueprint. He gave that blueprint. He doesn't have the right guys to run it. San Antonio do. And I saw they was using it.
Well, he had the right guys to run it. He just didn't have the right guys to guard the other guys to go ahead and guard the other team, players. Essentially, in the first 3 games of that series, JJ said, "Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and let see if the rest of the team can go ahead and step up." And he just didn't have the guys that were challenging the AJ Mitchells, Chet Holmgrens, and Kason Wallace's of the world, and making any life at all difficult for him because they were so focused on SGA and they just didn't have enough defensive bodies or young, athletic players to go ahead and try and guard those other pieces, and just didn't have enough good enough pieces. That's where the depth comes in. And when San Antonio, they do have enough, you would like a little bit more, but they have enough athletic pieces with their backcourt. Plus, Julian Champagny did a great job. Also, as well, you want to go ahead and take a look at what Victor did as far as concerned, and just that lineup alone that they put out there, plus Keldon Johnson giving them some valuable minutes off the bench as well. So they have just enough players right now, and it will have more so when De'Aaron Fox comes back to give them different looks at OKC as well.
I definitely agree. When they're gonna have De'Aaron Fox, got another great ball handler on the court. You can kind of move Dylan Harper kind of more toward the bench wise if you need to. And that's gonna bring more and more depth for San Antonio. Right now, Oklahoma's gonna have to figure out how are we gonna get SGA going? How can we get some points in the paint? Because that's the way SGA likes to score, likes to do the mid range game. So they're gonna have to figure out some way how to get him going, get some points in the paint going. And you know what, Gerald? I gotta also call this out too. They're gonna have to shoot better from the 3-point range. You're gonna have to shoot that a lot better to get out this series. Because earlier in that first part of the game, it was pretty bad. I know both sides was struggling, but Oklahoma needed a lot right now. If you can't score in the paint, you're gonna have to make it up with the 3-point line. That's your best bet. And I feel like losing that game yesterday, it's kind of hard for them because I'm not for sure you're gonna get another Caruso knocking down 8 threes again. I don't know if that's gonna happen again. Like you could have blown a really good performance from Caruso. So you kind of got to capitalize on the opportunities when it comes. When you got your role guys knocking down threes, because that's what it's gonna take. Because I don't blame you. I'm not finna go down to the basket when Victor Wembanyama standing right there. That's like baby in the hole situation at that point. So they're gonna have to figure out something in that part. SGA gonna have to figure out some way to handle these double teams a little bit better. You gotta go into MVP mode. They need you. And lastly, Chet, you gotta grow up, man. You gotta step up for them. Because anybody else can do it, man. It's you and Hartenstein. That's all you got, really. You saw what happened when they had SGA or Caruso trying to guard Wemby. Like, come on, man. That's too easy. That's if I'm Wemby, I'm gonna be laughing. I'm gonna dunk on them, and then I'm gonna look at your coach and say, "What are you doing? You just want me to score at this point? You gotta be kidding me. You're gonna have to figure out something. So Chet gonna have to step up. You gonna do something because if you don't step up, hey, you in a world of trouble in this series. But I know for a fact if you lose game 2, you might be losing in 5 because that's kind of hard to come back from at that point already. That's hard to come back from.
We had talked about Wembanyama before as far as the type of player that he is, and I was kind of concerned because he had just so much confidence in his abilities. He was taking a lot of threes. He was doing a lot of turnarounds, 15-foot, 17-foot turnarounds. Talked about this with you, talked about it with Joe, talked about it with Caleb Ponce, where I just he's 7'5", 7'7", whatever he is. And again, I still think 7'4", you're just absolutely crazy to think he's just 7'4". He does not look 7'4",
Yeah,
but
he
okay.
does.
He NBC just wants to shrink him. Maybe next time around he'll be 6'11" for the next game. But uh, I will say this, it is so smart when he has someone smaller on him, just to go to the basket, just go straight to the basket. And he's so much more difficult to deal with if that's the case. And when the predominant amount of shots are inside, it just makes it look so much better. And you're right. There's not too many physical players that OKC has that can really bother him to an extent. There's the Jalen Williams, Arkansas Jalen Williams,
Yeah, they can
that they
try.
could bring out. Yeah, I mean he's what 6'8", 6'9", and
Yeah,
could provide some physicality to it. Lou Dort could get
he
dirty like
tried.
he, yeah. And then of course you got Alex Caruso still trying to, but again,
Yeah,
if that's the case, he just goes down low and they could just pass it to him there. So it is really something that they need to take advantage of, San Antonio, and keep taking advantage of it. If he falls in love with his shot and starts taking 7 to 10 3-pointers, and then he does a lot of turnarounds again, that's where you get into like a little bit of a gray area where other teams can take advantage of it. But if he really looks to take advantage of his size and his sheer height, it could be very problematic for the OKC Thunder going forward.
yeah. It can end up being maybe a shorter series than what we think if they can't figure out something to go against Victor Wembanyama. At this point, they already took home court from you. You gotta come in the game too and figure something out, or at least starting to figure something out. Because at that point, if you're gonna throw Caruso, Jalen Williams, Lou Dort, you can get physical all you want, but physical is not gonna make up for the height difference. It is not gonna make up for that difference. Only thing you're gonna do is just foul him. He's gonna get an and one. You basically gave up a 3-pointer at that point. You're gonna have to figure out some way, and Chet really gonna have to be the one to figure out how can I maybe you ain't gonna stop him, but just slow him down some. Just slow him down a little bit. That's your best chance. You ain't gonna stop him. He's that good. You're not stopping him, but you can at least try to slow him down some. Maybe he gonna still get his 25, 30 points. I mean, he might still end up getting it between 25 and 35. He might still get them points, but make him have to work for it. Make him have to attempt more shot. Make his efficiency be down some. At least you can do that. You slow him down some. But you can't just let this man just, baby in the hole, and they're gonna drive in the hole and dunk on him. You can't just let that keep happening. Otherwise, this series is gonna be over a lot quicker than what people think. I'm thinking it's gonna be a 6 or 7 game series, but depending on what happens in game 2, might be shorter than what we think. And the MVP, he finna be getting a lot of crap on the internet. I can tell you that. So Twitter right now has been having field day,
Yes,
especially
it
Laker
is right
Nation.
now. Exactly, exactly. So We'll see what happens for game 2 and going forward, but I also wanted to go ahead and touch on the Eastern Conference finals, which are going right now. It's a back and forth affair early in the third quarter.
Yes.
Cleveland, do you think after coming off such two hard series, first off against Toronto and then, of course, against Detroit, how much juice do you think they have in the tank to go ahead for a what looks to be a long series against the New York Knicks?
The Knicks should win this series, but I think the Cavs can pull it off. It is going to come down to, can Donovan Mitchell continue to step up and be a star, continue to give you the numbers that you need. Can he come up in here and give you 25 plus? Can James Harden just be decent? Don't be the choker Harden that we have seen over the years. Can he be James Harden that we, not MVP James Harden, but just be good, be reliable somewhat? Can he at least give you 15 to 20? That'll help a lot. And then you just need you need the Mosley and everyone else to step up on that roster. If the others can step up and Donovan Mitchell can step up and Harden be decent, they can probably win this series. I think they got some juice left in them. But for me to really believe they can win this series, they got to take either game 1 or game 2. If I'm them, take game 1, put a lot of pressure on the Knicks at that point. But that's their best shot. And you can't have James Harden be a disaster. I will admit, Gerald, I am surprised they got out that game 7 until we saw what Detroit did. But if you look at that stat line, the typical performance happened for James Harden. He did what he usually do. Play like crap, like what 2 for 9, something like that. He did nothing, but they managed to overcome it. So that's what I'm kind of looking for in this series. Are Donovan Mitchell and the others going to be good enough to kind of hide the James Harden performances that we used to seeing? Can they hide his terrible performance enough to get out this series?
We'll have to wait and see. Right now, it is a back and forth affair in the second half of this first game, game 1 at MSG. I know the crowd at MSG is excited. They're paying big money to go ahead and see what's going on there with the Cleveland Cavaliers and New York Knicks. But I do expect another long series. But again, how much gas in the tank Cleveland has left, we will wait and see. But Legend, it's always great to have you here. But before we head on out, I wanted to go ahead and hear your thoughts on some of the coaching changes that have taken place in recent days. One that was just announced very, very recently, effective within the past, couple hours,
Yep.
is Jason Kidd has been terminated in a somewhat surprising move for the Dallas Mavericks because of how much love that there was or seemingly was for him in the organization from both the previous and current ownership there. In fact, at one time he was probably even thought of as being moved into the front office, but Masai Ujiri took over, and I guess after having consultations with them, realized it wasn't going to be a good fit. So Jason Kidd, 4 years, $40 million, I think, or something like that,
Something
is
like that.
out. Yeah, is out in Dallas. Is this a surprise to you? And is this a good move in your opinion?
I want to say I'm half and half. I'm a little surprised, but I'm also not. The reason why I say I'm a little surprised because I figured that he may stick around maybe another year or two with with their rising star. But at the same time, I was like, I'm not surprised. They know Nigeria. He want to probably bring his own guy in there. I know a lot of GMs like to do that. They want to bring their guy in there and not stick with the previous person guy. So I know that's kind of the usual thing. And do I think this is a good move? It depends on who they hire. That's what I think. They need to try to find somebody if this the direction they want to go. Find somebody who can help Cooper Flag, continue to get better. Help your young star continue to rise. That's what you need. You need to find a coach who work good with young players, someone who can help develop, take this team to a greater level, somebody who can help get this team back into the playoff situation. That's what they need need to be looking for. Don't hire a coach who prefer veteran players and all that, because that's not what you're working with. That's not what you got. That's not what you're working with. This situation can be good if they get the right coach. So it's going to come down to what their new general manager decide to do. Will you go get the coach who work better with young players or what you looking for? That's what I think they should focus on. building Cooper Flag and your young core up. Take the Oklahoma and Spurs route. Build your young guys up. Get them into the playoff and keep making steps. That's the right goal to need to go. But I am very surprised to see him, get let go. Though. That is a little surprising. So who knows? Orlando Magic might be calling.
This is true, among other teams. And then, of course, speaking of the Orlando Magic, the former Orlando Magic coach, he has gotten the job in New Orleans. And so Jamal Mosley uh, getting a full 5-year deal must be nice.
Must be
Again,
nice.
A very questionable decision in my opinion because he kind of underwhelmed with Orlando, especially on the offensive end.
Yeah,
Especially what we saw with that record for futility in as far as the 24 straight possession, just some
yeah,
amazing amount as far as how, because they had a big lead in the second half on Detroit and in game 6 and at home and still
just
gave
let
it
that it.
away. Yeah. So I just ask myself, or I'm sure asking New Orleans Pelicans fans out there, was there a better option as far as Jamal Mosley is concerned? And then 5 years on top of it. Very curious decision by Joe Dumars and the Brain Trust in New Orleans. But then again, this has been par for the course
Yeah.
for the short time that they've been in power.
Well, when it comes to them, to the Pelican front office, I'm not surprised when they do anything weird because what dummy would give away their first round pick? So, hey, I ain't surprised what they do no more over there. They did that. They let me know they don't always be thinking. But it's like I understand why they may want him because they're looking at probably he helped the Orlando Magic get back into the playoffs. He helped lead them into a couple of playoff wins. So they're probably looking at that because that team, the Pelicans, haven't been in the playoff in a couple of years now. It's been a couple of years since they've been in the playoff. So maybe they're looking at he can help them get back into at least the playoff mix. But I'm not that high on that hire myself, just because I can't ignore the fact that to me his past season with Orlando was a failure. You should have been a top 5 team. You should have closed. No, let's keep it honest. You should have beat Detroit. You should have. You should have beat the Detroit. You had them, and you just had a collapse on the offensive end. Good defensive coach, but the offensive side has been an issue for a couple years in Orlando. Has been the same old issue. You went and got Baines from Memphis. You still struggling offensively. So like something on the offensive side of the ball ain't that great with him. Maybe he can turn around the Pelicans and at least make them be a play-in team. That should be his goal for next year. Just be a play-in team. Can you at least get to that point? But to me, he okay as a coach. It's not a great hire, but we'll see how it looks in the long run. But I think what he did in Orlando this past season was a failure. I really believe Orlando should have been at least a top 5 team, at least that.
Well, we will see what happens in New Orleans. Again, a very interesting situation to say the least, and then Dallas as well. Again, Masai Ujiri putting his own stamp on the organization. So we'll see who's in and who's out as far as that's concerned. But definitely looking to see what happens there. I'm hoping, though, that my friend Rafael Barlow will remain a scout overseas for them, for the Dallas Mavericks going forward. If they are going to fire anyone, they're watch out, Rafael, watch out, my friend. But I will wait and see. And then last, but before we get into the draft, I wanted to mention that the cheapness of the new owner of Portland Trailblazers has now come to fruition, and even more. I know that it was talked about during their playoff series is that they would have the assistant coaches and training and medical staff and whoever else, non-essential player staff, check out of their hotel rooms so that they wouldn't get extra charges as far as the concern, or late charges at the hotel. So they would be sitting in the
Mm-hmm.
hotel lobby for sometimes hours on end in regards to that. But the cheapness, of the current owner, because of what he's done for his hockey team, has been quite elaborated on. Well, 70 more people got laid off today, as far as in and around the Portland Trailblazer organization. I sometimes get befuddled by that number when I think about it, because I didn't even know that, there were 70 people in the Portland Trailblazers
I didn't
organization.
know that
Because
either.
yeah, exactly. Because you think, when I see with the Lakers are always accused of not having an elaborate amount of individuals working for the organization. So, not talking about the arena per se, but just talking the organization in general. But it said the organization, although it could be related to the arena. If that's the case, then obviously that number can be expanded upon because of all the people that associate themselves with working at the arena. I get that and understand that. But the team itself, again, it said, the statement on Twitter said 70 individuals in and around the organization itself. So I will say this again: when you have an owner that has found success being frugal with one organization in one sport, it may not always transpire, or what they did in one sport, like with Mark Walter and the Lakers. What you did with Dodgers may not work exactly 100% with the Lakers. You might have to try some things different.
Right.
With the Portland Trailblazers, cost cutting may have worked for you with your hockey team, but it may or may not with your Portland Trailblazers.
Yeah, there's no guarantee just because you can cut costs, it'll work in the NBA. That's why I try to tell a lot of guys, with these big owners who got money, just because of you did this and this sport, doesn't mean they're gonna translate to the NBA. NBA rules and stuff are so different. So a lot of times to win a championship, you're gonna have to spend some money. You can't be cheap on everything. You might be cheap on some stuff, but you got to spend some money. So I think a lot of the owners who might be new to the NBA, you're gonna have to learn that some things that you do in your other sport just not gonna work over here. And I think a lot of general managers got to realize that some of them think that you can just translate whatever you do from MLB or NHL or wherever sport that you're over. Some of them guys think everything work in the same sport when it doesn't. So I think a lot of the owners still got a lot of learning to do to realize, you got to do different stuff in different sports. Everybody's stuff is different. Every league runs differently.
Well, again, there we will continue to monitor what's going on with Portland Trailblazers as well here at NBA Observations. But I did not want to let it go by without at least saying something on it. But we will see as the conference finals continue to go ahead and move along. There's also speculation on Giannis, what's going to go ahead and happen with the draft. At the top of the draft, will Washington give up its top pick? Always some interesting things going on. But as far as what you're talking about at I Got Next Sports Media, is the NBA draft a part of it, my friend?
Yes, I plan on doing a show tomorrow, probably tomorrow night. Probably gonna talk about the NBA draft. We're gonna look at the projection to see like how it's looking for who gonna get picked at which round. We'll talk about the conference finals, and then of course we'll talk about the Giannis sweepstakes. Hope to God that be over with soon enough. Cause I'm about tired of it at this point. So we'll probably talk about that wise, and then we're gonna talk about how things could really play out with the Cavs and Knicks. See how that series might play out.
We will see, my friend. Right now, Cleveland has the lead in halfway through the third quarter, but again, it's still at MSG, and who knows what will happen. So we'll see who has the momentum after game one in the Eastern Conference Finals, and of course, come right back at you here with what happened in game two going forward as well here later this week. So looking forward in the Western Conference Finals later this week. So definitely looking forward, Legend, to hearing your thoughts. I also got to go ahead and let everybody know that I will be doing hopefully a live show sometime this week. I'll have to see if I can wake up Joe and try and get dust the cobwebs off of Joe, and see if he'll go ahead and join us, and then tell Legend as well. So Legend can hopefully jump on as well. And maybe even the Zoom executive, John Costa, can join us. You never know. You never know indeed. But we can always talk about the burning questions for the Los Angeles Lakers, including Austin Reeves, of course, LeBron James,
Oh
who do
boy.
you build around the Lakers and whatnot. All those burning questions, obviously, we're going to be touching on in the days and weeks to come as well. But Legend, it's great to have you here. Please go ahead and support him today on I Got Next Sports Media. And I will tell you what, again, I think we're being treated to a showcase in Oklahoma City. OKC and San Antonio might be one for the ages, and I am ready for it as an NBA fan, indeed, Legend.
Same. I think we in for a really good treat. It's gonna be a really good series, and I'm ready to see how Oklahoma can respond. Like what they got in the tank, or are we getting ready to hit the alarm button, the panic button?
See, we'll see indeed. But once again, go ahead and support Legend at I Got Next Sports Media. Make sure you like and subscribe with me right here as well. It is, of course, the Lakers Fast Break. NBA observations. We've always got it covered for you. Again, just truly appreciate your support and always looking forward to going ahead and popping in with our latest NBA observations.